Woke failed Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek gets absolutely ratioed online while calling out a very important point about the possibility of her recall going through, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Failed woke Mayor Jyoti Gondek. Well, a lot of things have been stirring in the pot, and a lot of people reaching out to me on Twitter in regards to my run for mayor of the city of Calgary when it comes to the possibility of recall with Jyoti Gondek. Now, I want to talk a little bit outside of stream because this has been brought up on the know of people saying, when are you going to get started? When are things happening? How do we get involved? When does things get underway? There are a lot of questions that need to be answered, but first I want to go over one of the best parts of what's come out of this whole recall petition, and that's Jyoti Gondek getting absolutely shut down and ratioed on Twitter. Now, a lot of people who watch my channel who aren't in Calgary, who don't, are even in Alberta, who don't care about those politics, that's fine, and I know that these videos don't really catch up with those people or find a home with people who aren't invested in the Calgary politics per se, but this is very damning as to the way that our elections have gone because Dan McLean, city councilor for Southwest Calgary, chiming in here saying Calgarians should know who's behind getting people elected. Calgary's future received $1.7 million, in the years leading up to the 2021 election. There were 6 contributions, all from civic unions. Calgary's Future endorsed numerous candidates in the election, including Jyoti Gondek, as well as several now serving councillors. Now, I've often said when you look at councillors like Drew Farrell, when you look at Jyoti Gondek, even Naheed Nenshi, Jyoti Gondek was installed. I will say that until the day I die. I believe that with the amount of money that was infused into Jyoti Gondek's campaign, she was an installed mayor. Now, of course, Calgary's votes were at an all-time low, and in civic elections, I've said numerous times and time again, these are the decisions that affect you the most on your day-to-day life. Federal decisions affect things like your taxes, laws and regulations. Provincial covers a portion of your taxation, things like healthcare, school boards, policies, whereas civic covers your property taxes, your obligations to the city, your zoning, your future, your investment in your home, whether or not you're going to see a return on your investment. A lot of those things that happen in city council affect your day-to-day life, even more so than federal or provincial. So when it comes to unions getting involved in elections, and I said this when Danielle Smith was running against Rachel Notley, because Rachel Notley's husband was one of the heads of QP, which is one of the major health unions in Alberta. So, of course, he's exposing this, and the first comment says unions shouldn't be permitted to make any political donations, period. No, they shouldn't. That should be a major conflict of interest. So, of course, Jason Scott saying, Dan, do you really want to talk about political funding and your affiliations? Now, the response to that, tell us about your affiliations to Take Back City Hall, Take Back Alberta, Common Sense Calgary. How many tens of thousands did you receive? And we know there's more. And then Landon coming in saying, I think we all remember the videos of his affiliation. Let's remind the people out there. Craig Chandler, Jonathan Dennis, mocking Indigenous people, not completing the assigned reconciliation work, golfing with a local developer during a council meeting. He's a winner. So I've said it a million times over, and I'll say it again. This is one of the reasons in my mayoral run why I said I'm going to have a huge problem, because originally I said a lot of the ideas Dan McLean has in terms of overtaxation, overspending, entitlement of councillors, and entitlement of the mayor. We had very similar thought processes, but the more I looked into Dan McLean, the more I said he's just another one of the same old people running for office on the other side of the political spectrum. This is a guy who was out with developers golfing while he was supposed to be in a council meeting. Now, this is why I was running for mayor, because I'm a citizen. I'm not elected, or I'm not affiliated, I should say, with any kind of political party. I'm running to represent the citizens of Calgary. That's my political affiliation. I'm somebody who's had to decide, do I pay my bills? Do I pay my utility bill? Or do I put food in the fridge for my kids? Do I pay my car? Or do I pay my property tax? It's too expensive to manage all of these rising obligations constantly in a city that just recently raised its taxation 8% after saying it was only going to be expected to be about 2.5 to 3%, and then the mayor giving herself a pat on the back with a good old-fashioned self-appointed raise. Well, that's what's led to Jyoti Gondek's petition for recall. Now, of course, we get to the good part of this, and that's her absolute ratio on Twitter. She tweets back at Dan McLean, "My dude, maybe attending meetings in person instead of phoning it in from a golf course should be your top priority." That's rich coming from this lady, telling him where he's wrong for making statements about political affiliation on Twitter. 222 minutes coming out saying, did you just assume his gender? Because, of course, Jyoti Gondek has been so woke in talking about gender policies. It's so funny to see. Eco-fashion chiming in. I think it's time you discovered what's making you so miserable. Some insight and therapy might help you, but not on our dollar. Let's all get dirt and see the sunlight. Calgarians deserve the transparency of this organization. I tweeted back to her and said, my dude, taking a raise after jacking up property taxes 8% is probably not within your best interests either. Keep that seat in your office, Worm Jody. It'll be mine soon enough when you're going to look like the Monopoly guy when I boot your ass out the door. And we got to talk a little bit about that because I discussed this on Friday night stream, Friday Night Fringe here on the channel. Join us every Friday for that, by the way, at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Central. But a lot of people talked about my chime in to run for mayor. Now, my plans were to run in the 2025 election for the Civic City, but I'm still waiting to get confirmation on the rules for how the process starts should this recall go through. Now, the usual rules are that on the year of election via 2025 of January 1st, I am formally allowed to go and petition for my nomination forms. I must then receive my signatures for nomination, submit those to City Hall, get my name on the ballot through their processing, and once that's done, I can officially start fundraising, running my campaign, and starting to move ahead for my seat in the city of Calgary. Now, the problem with a recall is that they've talked about things like a by-election happening, and if a by-election is to happen, well, for the time, if I have to wait until the recall is officially noted to go and get the paperwork for the by-election and then process the paperwork, well, by the time that's all processed, the by-election is going to be underway and there's going to be no time to campaign. A lot of people in the city of Calgary still don't know who I am, and it's going to be very difficult to even request fundraising from people that I would essentially be wasting without having the proper time to campaign properly. I don't wish to waste people's money any more than I wouldn't want to do it as the mayor of this city. But I'm going to explain a little bit more about that recall and why that I don't think that's going to happen. Despite the fact that I would like to see it happen, whether I run or not, I think the city deserves better leadership. I just don't believe there's good candidates. Dan McLean, of course, has shown us with his calls and golfing out with home developers, he's no different than past mayors who were home developers as well, that spent the better time giving contracts out to their friends and padding pockets of friends to get construction done around the city. Let's take a listen to what's going on with this recall, because it opened up on the weekend and people were talking about the numbers. I wanted to show this from City News because certain outlets are patting down just how much interest there is in recalling Jyoti Gondek, and it's funny to see.
Hopefully we can get the mayor out, because I think someone else can do a better job than she's doing.
Calgarians get together at City Hall on Saturday to support a recall petition against Mayor Jyoti Gondek after a notice of recall was sent on January 30th to the city. People disappointed with Gondek's policies lined up to sign. They say the single-use items bylaw has been one of the trigger points.
Well, I'm actually here to sign the recall because I'm obviously not very happy with how the mayor's been handling things since she got into office.
Like, the taxes, how the tax was shifted from, people onto businesses, A lot of things. The arena, that went up like from like $600 million to like $1.2 billion. So yeah.
I would like to see Gondek gone. I mean, not our mayor anymore. No.
Their goal is to collect as many signatures as possible for the petition that intends to remove the mayor from office. They have less than 55 days to gather the required signatures. According to the Municipal Government Act, the petition requires more than 500,000 signatures, which represents 40% of Calgary's population. So far, petition organizer Landon Johnston says they have 2,000.
We've had people out all week getting signatures. So once they start coming in, I'm going to update, Twitter, and I'll update the website, and we'll just have like a little tally of how many were coming in. And I mean, the way it's going, who knows what we can get.
If the petition is submitted and declared sufficient, the mayor could be removed from office. If the petition is declared insufficient, no further recall petitions in relation to the same member of council will be accepted. In Calgary, Silvia Naranjo, City.
What's important to note from this video is that the prostitutes that are paid by shill media and people like the installed Mayor Jyoti Gondek, they're showing small numbers of people standing outside because they really want to downplay just how many people are angry or how many people are trying to sign this petition and get it out there. Now, we've seen people like Corey Morgan from the Western Standard chiming in over the weekend saying that there was probably 300 to 500 people there at the time that he went to sign the petition. There were lineups around the City Hall building, so there was a very large turnout last weekend. The only thing that makes me wonder if this is going to go through is the severe uphill battle that we're going to have to see. Now, keep in mind, Jyoti Gondek was installed with 175,000 votes. In order to have her recalled, we have to reach just over the 1.5 million mark for Calgary's registered voters, 40% list. Now, in order to do that, somebody crunched the math online and said that's roughly 8,000 signatures per day that need to get in on that petition before the time runs out. Now, I don't want to downfall anything. I don't want to say this is a waste of time, because questioning your government is never a waste of time. However, I think the likelihood, if we're going to be realistic and transparent here on this channel, the likelihood, unless we see a massive uptick in signatures, is probably waning, and I don't think this is going to happen. The worst thing about it is that should this petition fail, just like the clip said, it essentially means that we cannot attempt to recall her again. It's a one-off. It's a one opportunity chance. But I suspect that if Jyoti is not recalled, well, that puts the boots back on the ground for yours truly to run in that election again. I'll get the ball rolling as fast as possible, and I'll keep you guys updated on the channel as to what happens. Either way, I'm going to be happy to see Jyoti Gondek gone. We should start a hashtag #GetLostGondek or something on Twitter. I think that would work out really well. Maybe I'll get that one moving shortly, but let me know your comments down below. Do you think Jyoti Gondek's going to get kicked out? Do you think it's likely? Again, let's be reasonable. 8,000 signatures a day. We're even talking work days there where people are obligated to be in places. I don't know how it's going to work. I like to be optimistic, but at some point we got to be realists. But let me know what you guys think down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're clicking that button, you're also turning on your bell for notifications. Again, join us Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time for Friday Night Fringe. It's going to be a great show this week. We're going to be talking about things like this. We're going to be talking about the federal government and everything that happened this week in politics. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you on the next one.